Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail and this is Mary. Thanks for joining us today. And we have a lineup of things to talk about today. And the first thing we'll be talking about is to be or not to be. And we'll go into the more details about that in a few minutes. But let me see who all's here. First, I'm going to pull up, well, if I can pull up this thing, I'm going to see who all's here first. And Mary, well, I'm going to pull up White Dragon first, and then we're going to say, because he's getting our back about subscribing. White Dragon, thank you. Please ask in all caps and like and subscribe, or Mary will not sing and dance.
I've already danced a little.
Thanks for that, White Dragon. But anyway, Mary, you've got the big event coming up here soon. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with that. Anything new? How many tickets do you have left? And just everybody needs to jump on those tickets.
I am so excited about this. Actually, our team has been doing phone calls to all the attendees this week. And so we've actually gotten to hear the people who have already bought tickets. We've gotten to hear their voice. We've gotten to hear how excited they are or how nervous they are. We've gotten to just connect with them. And so the energy is just electric. It's buzzing. And that's why my hair is electrified today, because I've just been talking to people and connecting.
I think your hair looks great.
It
always looks good.
Thank you. Yours always looks good. You
yeah.
Queen. Oh my God. So cute. But we're really excited about the retreat. You know, there's been a change of schedule change, guys, because our sweat lodge was supposed to take place over a full day. But our sweat lodge facilitator, our Cherokee wisdom keeper, Yona, was invited to do a spot with National Geographic. So he's having to cut he's great. He's renowned, guys. He's great. So he's having to cut his set down from morning and afternoon to just morning, which is the plenty of time to actually do the sweat lodge, but you guys won't be helping to build it anymore. He's going to have to build it on his own beforehand so that he can make it to National Geographic. So that opened our afternoon up, and I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to fill that space with? And I was like, I know, I'll open another Waka and blow everyone's mind. So we're opening another.
What is a Waka?
A Waka is traditionally only done by one shaman for one other person for the purpose of completely transforming their lives. You know, if there's like one thing that they really want to heal or one thing that they really want to obtain or have success with, then it's basically opening an energy portal straight from source that stays in the body and continues to work and remove everything from their lives that's causing the illness, or remove everything from their life that's keeping them from that success. And then it dissipates on its own once that's accomplished. And a couple of years back, I opened one for 130 people-ish in Chicago at Susan Lynn's event there. And I'm guided to do another one here on the mountain. But this time, instead of having 2 facilitators open the Waka, I'm going to have 4. One representing each element. And I think we have an intimate enough group that everyone's going to get to stand inside of the Waka and carry it off with them. So we have 2 tickets left. If you would like to be Waka-sized, step right up, darlings.
It sounds like everybody would want that. So now, well, how is that different from regular sweat lodge or regular shaman journeys, or you know what? How does that differ for all that?
Well, they're all completely different modes and ceremonies. So like the sweat lodge is a ceremony that is meant to essentially, and of course I'm not the Cherokee wisdom keeper here, but this is coming just from what I understand of it, is that it is meant to emulate being back in the womb. And the reason that the Native Americans have matriarchal societies is because when women go through childbirth, that's the closest that they get to reach God while in human bodies. So it's meant to invoke visions, to break down the physical body enough that the spiritual body can take over. And you can reach those spaces for visions, for wisdoms, for connection. Journey work is very similar. except you're not really breaking down the physical body in order to receive that vision. You're training yourself to release yourself from the physical body in order to obtain your vision. And a waka is just something completely different altogether. It is a ritual. You're not going to be receiving, you could receive a vision, but that's not its purpose. Its purpose is actually to transform your life. And once it's open and it's in you, it's out of my control. Hands off. Spirit's going to do whatever spirit does. Like if you open it with the intention to heal your cancer, every single thing in your life that's causing you cancer is going to be gone. This is people, jobs, bad food habits, that kind of stuff. Like, this is just a really powerful ritual that I'm not in control of. It's just going to do its thing. So it's very different. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me say hello to some people that are coming in here now. We've got quite a few here. Let's see. I'm sliding up to the top. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And Mary and I have got quite a few topics to talk about today. And so, hi, Michelle. Thanks for being here today. And hey, Teresa. Thanks for being here. Hey, Linda Thompson. Hey, Gigi. Hey, Stephanie. Thanks for being here. Hey, Kathleen Garrison. Let's see who else here. And of course, hey, White Dragon. Hey, Debbie, Through Shifting Veils. Thanks for being here. Hey, Penelope and Suzanne, Diane G. Thanks, everybody, for being here. So glad to see you. Hey, Aaron Robinson, Diane G. Thanks for being here. Hey, Rossi. Hey, Northern Lights. Hey, Polly. Thanks for being here today. Dream Journey 1. Thanks. I'm glad to see you. And who else is here? We got quite a few people. So, hey, Gina M. It's good to see you. And let's see who else we have. Hey, Son of Watt, thanks for being here. And I think I'm going, hey, Hypnicity. Hey, Amanda Carroll. Let's see, Hypnicity, I'm going to try to start we've already got quite a few questions coming in, or I've already started quite a lot of questions. White Dragon Mary always puts a smile on your face. Yes, she does. She's just a ray of sunshine, a star shining on us.
Well, you're the star shining on everything, Miss Galactic Queen.
Yes. So, Mary, okay, Mary and I, we were talking, day before yesterday, about my dreams or visions I was having. Whenever I have a dream or a vision, and it did come to me during meditation, and I always go, okay, was it a dream or was it a vision? What was it? But anyway, it was during meditation. And this, Mary and I were in a cave together. And in this cave was this young guy who looked like an absent-minded professor. He had like sandy blonde hair, glasses, and he was just working away. I was on one side, and Mary was talking to him. She was conversing, and I was on the other side just going, yeah, whatever y'all talking about, kind of just in my own little world. And anyway, so all of a sudden I perked up. In fact, I think I was even just laying down. That's how, while Mary's talking to him, I'm thinking I'm laying down on my back. And all of a sudden he looks at her and says, "Your purpose is." And I perked up and go, wait a minute, he's telling her purpose? I wonder what he's saying. And I didn't hear it, but I was going, okay, is she a teacher, healer, or what did he tell her purpose was? And then he looked at me and said, "And your purpose is," and then I immediately woke up. Boom. Didn't hear anything. So I just dismissed it. I'm going, okay, I'm dismissing that. But the next day, of course, here comes the same vision with the same guy, but this time he's riding a bicycle. He's a high school student, and he's riding around and talking about our purpose again, or my purpose at that time, talking about our purpose. Mary was in the background at this time because she already knew what her purpose was, and I'm in the front trying to get the information. Diane G. Yeah, it's a cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger for 3 days. And so finally, I decided to do a shamanic journey to find out what this was all about. And the answer I got from the guy, he looked at me and he says, your purpose is to be. That was it. To be. To be what? This is how it went. To be what? To be a healer? To be a teacher? To be human? To be what? What? To be what? So I talked to Mary about it and said, Mary, I'm going to let you go into to be for us.
First off, I think I know your professor, whoever this is. I don't know why I keep picking up a very familiar energy, as if like he also might be someone on Earth.
Yeah, he is on Earth.
Yeah, I feel like there's a familiar energy with that. I'm just not sure who it is yet. But when Gail texted me to call her, one, her text was just very different than normal Gail text, just very different. And I was like, okay, something's going on with Gail. Let me call her back in 30 minutes. And there was like an excitement there, like a deep, profound kind of knowing that was obviously happening there. And as soon as Gail said those words, it was just to be. I was like, yes, that's the whole point. And there's like two levels to this. First off, there's the level that I think a lot of people, especially if they're more like in the Zen Buddhist arena, take on, which is to be simply means we're here just to experience. So if we're here just to experience, that means you can get technically all of the healing and spiritual revelations that you need just by living your human life to the best of your ability, connecting into nature, tending your own garden per se. You don't have to have all of these grand connections and psychic abilities to be the best version of you and fulfill your purpose. But the other part of this that I felt like what was the message coming through is that you don't have to do any particular thing in order to live your purpose. What I tell a lot of my clients when we're working together is that I know you came to me because you want to find your purpose, you want to understand your destiny, but that's not really the point. Your destiny is who you're meant to be. It's your personal vibration once you've reached self-actualization, once you have fully embodied your personal power. It's the vibration you were born with and who you're probably blocked from because of all of these wounds and traumas and belief systems and all of those things. But once we've unblocked that space and we're in our full embodiment of ourselves and our power, we are our destiny. That is who we're meant to be. We're meant to be. And then whatever we choose to do while we're in that vibration is an expression of our destiny. It becomes part of our purpose. So I don't have to be a healer, guys. I don't have to do none of this.
Well, I didn't hear what he told you, so I have no idea what he said. Yeah, Patricia, that's one of the things I did ask. I said, to be human? Of course, for me, that was a good question to be asking. Yes, but I just kept going. I kept going through all the stuff, and then it hit me. I'm going, okay, it's not to be anything. It's just to be, almost like to sit still and life is happening. But you got to be in that present moment. Is kind of how I felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's why people who are, just for instance, my husband, I don't know if he's watching or not, but he went through, he practices Zen Buddhism and has for 20 years or something like that. And he doesn't believe in any of this. Yeah. He doesn't believe in psychics or ghosts or aliens, like none of this is all what to him. But he's still at the same vibration as I am, even though I have a daily practice of connecting into guides, we're still at that same vibration because his goal is to exist in the present moment, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, what's happening right now, and being the best version of himself he can be right now, tending his own garden, taking care of his own business and his family. So like just learning how to exist and how to find joy and love in all of these moments is how we're meant to be humans. That's why we're here.
So what do you think it would mean when it was said to be or not to be? What would you, because he didn't say that to me, but that was something I thought about afterwards, was why didn't he say that? Or why did he just, he looked at me straight in the face and says, to be. I was like deflated at the moment. But that's it.
He didn't say the not to be part. And I know people hate to hear this sometimes because of free will and all of that, but not being isn't really a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in this life necessarily, but before the end of all of your incarnations, you're going to be, because that's the point of incarnating, is to have all of those experiences and to just be. So you will continue incarnating until you learn how to just be, and then you have fulfilled that destiny or that purpose or those experiences. So you have free will, whether or not you want to be, but there's also consequences of that, and it's really not a choice. And
so would you say the Buddhist practice is more towards that then, to be?
oh, absolutely, just being in the present moment. Meditations where you're just concentrating on your breath and just existing while not connecting to your thoughts or the feelings from those thoughts, or whether or not those thoughts are even true or not, because none of that matters if you're just breathing.
Right.
I'm breathing, so none of that matters.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the next topic. And this is a topic to help, especially some of our new people that are coming in who are first having your first experiences with the extraterrestrials or the aliens. This is a safe place for you to come and talk about your experience, because your family, friends, they tell you you're crazy. And all of us here are having these same experiences, and you can talk to us about it. And we have moderators who are watching the chat and making sure it is safe to talk about your experiences. But so Mary has had a love-hate relationship with aliens. She has, I have fully embraced them, and I've fully embraced them for at least 5 years now. And Mary has considered them pretty intrusive. So, except when it comes to your healings, you have started accepting them into helping in that area. But I do think I was kind of a platform for that because of the implants, the things like that, where you saw the benefits of them helping you on some of the healings on some of those people. But Mary, talk about your love-hate relationship with the aliens.
One thing struck me while you were talking, and that may have been our indoctrination into the spiritual path, because an angel came to you first, and we discussed this the other Sunday. An angel came to you first, but that's still a really high vibrating being that then ushered in alien beings.
Mm-hmm.
I used to see angels as well, and I'm an angel medium, but all of my guides and the beings on the other side that I would talk to on a daily basis for guidance and through my journey work, they were all animals or some form of human, where the animals would turn into human looking beings. And so the first time I had an alien come to me, it wouldn't even come to my face, probably because it knew how I would react. It came up behind me, and we talked like this without me looking at it. You know, I could just sense it and feel it. Now, I do have an alien guide, and I do let them come in as needed in healings to do things. I do understand their role and their purpose, and I don't like to speak ill of them. Anytime I say anything bad, even just jokingly, I feel them like, hey, that's not nice. Be loving to me. And, so then I feel guilty. But I do find them intrusive because they're not, even though they act as guides, they are not technically, to me, guides.
Mm-hmm.
They are people just like you and me that live on a different dimensional plane. And I don't allow random people to just walk through my house or wake me up in the middle of the night, even if they think they have something great to tell me. So for me, that's highly intrusive. Ring the doorbell, call me on the phone, and do it during business hours. That's how I feel about aliens. But we've gotten closer over time.
Yes. In fact, I think probably one of the ones that you really have a relationship with was Clarice, who is the one that was my medical assistant in the beginning, which is now back again my medical assistant. But she was the one that always helped me with removing implants and balancing chakras and things like that. Now I have Medical Mike, who brings the Slayer's Healing Center to everybody to help them. But I think Clarice was the first one that came to you when you were with somebody who came to help you. I believe she removed the implant for you. You had to stand back and let her do it.
It was interesting, and I actually removed an implant just yesterday too that apparently a reptilian had placed lifetimes ago to keep this particular starseed's energy low. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. So the first time that happened, I think that because I would go through all of the chakras after a clearing and make sure everything looked good, and I hone in sometimes on things that look a little off color. So because I'm looking for crystallized energies, I'm looking for cords and things like that, and so there's this little teeny little thing that I'm noticing, like in the pineal or pituitary or cerebellum sometimes, and like, oh, is this an implant? Is this a chip? And so usually, because it might not be for you anymore, but it's such a delicate procedure pulling it from that particular part of the energy, a lot of the time they'll come in and either take it out themselves, or they hold this thing so that when I take it out, I can put it into their thing, and they poof it.
Yeah, it incinerates it.
They just poof it away and it exists no longer. And then over time, that kind of evolved to then implanting different chips. There, like the one I did yesterday was a happiness chip that raises the vibration and brings joy and kind of aligns people with joy. And we have wisdom ones that connect people to those higher wisdoms and knowledge and guidance as well. So yeah, it did kind of start with them coming in and telling me back away, and them doing the surgery themselves. And eventually they let me kind of do some stuff as well.
So, okay. Well, is there anything, where do you stand on them coming into your house? Because that's one of the things that you had real issues with, was them being intrusive in your house and showing up without announcement. Now, for me, I have never had an issue with them. They can come in anytime, but I didn't remember in the beginning that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon is where they would not come in anymore, when there was time to work. But of course, when I'm sleeping, I'm going out working with them. But I remember they always gave me that time from 5 o'clock to bedtime that they did not bother me. At one time, I thought, oh, I have office hours now. But so what about you, about the intrusiveness of them coming at night for you? Have you come to terms with that?
They don't come anymore at night unless I'm dreaming. And they actually don't come in my house at all anymore unless we're working on a client who needs it, unless I'm dreaming and they have a message, or unless I'm with you. Because if I'm doing things like this, my room just starts filling up, But the reality is, there was a time when all of this was starting, and I just started working with you out there, that like this part of, you guys can't see it, but that part of the room has a lot of electronics and recording devices for musicians to record and stuff like that. And that was like a hub for alien activity when I was trying to sleep at night. The lights would start lighting up all over the monitors and the computers and the recording equipment, and they would just be filled in this room. And it's just like, it's not a rave, guys. Go home. So I started kind of clearing it out. But if I'm being realistic, that's not just aliens. That's souls that wander through. Even my guides, they really only show up when they have a message for me, or, and it kind of comes in, or whenever I'm connecting in with them. So things are always moving and coming through. And if there's a message, I take it and receive it, and they go on. And if there's not a message, I shoo them out, regardless of what they are and where they're from. And even during workspace, we don't like have a relationship. When you say Clarice, I'm like, oh yeah, that's her name, because they come in and they work side by side and they tell me things, but they're not like, hey, Mary, how are you? It's good to see you. How's the kids? We don't talk like that. It's just very purposeful. We're here to do this thing. Now we're going to move on. So I don't even know that we have relationships like that.
Now, I do talk to them like that. Exactly.
You do, yeah.
Yes, I am. I know their families. They know me. So I do have that kind of relationship with them. So it sounds like to me, what I was getting a hit on was the fact that you accepted them so they didn't have to keep bombarding you, is what I heard. So when you accepted them and put your, then you could put out your parameters of when they could come in and when they couldn't. Then everything became okay. But until you did that, they were, it was almost like, bam, 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 bam. Come on, acknowledge me. Boom, 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 boom. Acknowledge me.
It was a lot, especially when I was pregnant with my third, because he has alien energy. So they were always around and bombarding me when I was pregnant with him. But they really helped me connect more by sending me star seeds around me. So like human people who held that same alien energy, so I could connect with the human aspect at the same time I was getting those higher frequencies. So I think they eased me into the waters from time to time.
Yeah. And there's also the part of the aliens being in our earth also. And there are beings that have been here longer than we have been. So we're actually the aliens to them. So you always have to take that in consideration, especially like the Lemurians, the ant people, the people who have resided on earth longer than humans have been here. So we look like the aliens to them. Now, sometimes I think that might be an easier energy because they are so connected to Earth already to start off with that connection with them.
That actually reminds me, a long time ago, I was in Journey, but I think I was actually astral projecting because I was really like out of my body, or like soul projecting. I think you have a special word for it. And I was just out there. And all of a sudden, I happened up on a scene. And in that scene, there was like a group of people and an alien. And I didn't mean to go there. I just happened to go there. And I remember vividly that the alien looked up at me and like got mad. And I immediately was like, oh, my bad. And I like went back to my body and just came out of that. And I had like such an intense feeling of anger or danger. And I remember I called you about it, and it was like an accident because I was the alien who walked into his room just like they did to me. Like, get out, you don't belong here.
Yes. And that is a lot of times when you hear people talking about they're going to take a group to a different location, or that sometimes concerns me because not everybody is able to handle whatever might be happening. Anyway, so that those things do happen. They do come walking through and they're not supposed to be there. And when you're astral traveling, sometimes you walk through and you're not supposed to be there. So it is tit for tat on those kind of things sometimes.
They got me back, guys. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, Mary, I want to talk about spiritual awakenings. And we had this conversation on the phone the other day about spiritual awakenings, Kundalini energy, and how many spiritual awakens does a person go through? Now, we all think like your spiritual awakening is like one big event in your life, which most of the time it is. But I have found through the years that it seems like people go through either ones that are just as significant, maybe not having the Kundalini energy as much, but they do have like a tower moment in their life, and then things are changing, and that is another spiritual awakening that is happening for them. What is your take on that?
You can have as many of those in a lifetime as you need. Like if you think about it, people don't just have one. You know, you are right now at the age that you are, whoever is in this chat, you are a completely different person than you were 20 years ago, than you were 10 years ago, than you were last month, possibly even. And so all of these are like evolutions and cycles that you have in your life. And some of these cycles are your spiritual awakenings, like a renewal, a different spiritual awakening, because it's all in layers as we move through. So even the Kundalini awakening, even that is the same thing, but if we were to put it vertical across the chakras. Okay, so you can consider each chakra, just for the sake of this discussion, consider each chakra a spiritual awakening. And as that energy rises and hits each chakra, you're having another spiritual awakening and another spiritual awakening. So even though you're already awake, you're coming to a new level of awareness and a new heightened energy and a new power. And you're just becoming more and more and more of who you're going to be. So while I would say you really only have like technically one Kundalini awakening, it's an evolution that continues and continues, and you keep having different levels of it. I think what marks a Kundalini awakening as something so tangible versus a spiritual awakening is that there's usually physical symptoms with a Kundalini awakening. But after that first main physical Kundalini awakening, you might not notice the symptoms as much as you think that you do. Like you might just sweat one day and think you're just hot or having a hot flash, and it's your Kundalini energy. So
that's what somebody was talking about. You see, my Kundalini hot flashes feel like menopause all over again.
Yes. Yes. Really.
Okay. All right. So what I'm seeing now is like people's heart chakras are growing, and they're going through these big awakenings for this to happen. So where would you put that on that kind of scale? Because a lot of people are going through some big changes in their life. And I do feel like part of it is the opening of the heart chakra. And for us to start really feeling and speaking and doing things from our heart chakra versus where we're usually doing it from our brain. So where does that kind of fit in, do you think, on a spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening? How do you think that kind of fits in?
Again, if you were to put that vertical through the chakras, I have a theory.
Okay, let's hear that. I love theories.
I don't have all the notes or anything, but I have a theory that as each individual awakens and matures, they move through different parts of their own chakra body. So we know that we're working on the root when we're born through the age of 7 or something like that, and then it moves into, but if you think about it, this is also what the collective is doing through their spiritual awakenings. So there's big events that happen in the collective. There have been events throughout time and history. I think in the 60s there was one, in the 80s there was another one, and then more recently we've had things like the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. We have these movements and these collective things that push people into an awareness and an awakening of some sort that begins to push on the individual within the collective, that begins to push on the chakra body and open them to a higher level of spiritual awakening. And I have felt this for a while on that heart space, and I feel it pushing into the throat now. So that throat is going to start hitting on within the next year or so, where that's got to be the next space that's opened collectively and for everyone within the collective. So the heart itself,
we'll be talking at each other. Everybody be listening, everybody be talking.
the heart space itself is very connecting and vulnerable and open and healing. And like you said, we can't think anymore in order to make decisions. The heart has to be the thing to connect to others and feel and to read that energy through the heart space in order for us to be able to continue that collective healing.
White Dragon says we are being washed, spin dried, and pressed by the energies now.
I mean, yeah.
Some are, yes. Okay. Well, all right. So now what I want to go into with you is your readings. Now, I went through this with Val maybe last week or week before last, especially somebody new who comes to your website and they're going, oh, I would love to have a reading for Mary. But look at this list. I don't even know what to choose. Where to begin? And your classes, which class do I begin? I see she has a lot of classes. I'm a beginner. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what Reiki means. I don't know what a shaman is. And so can you help some of these new people who are coming in on understanding what kind of readings you do, and when they go to your website, probably what would be the like kind of the easiest or the first step to come into getting a reading?
Absolutely. And it's super, super easy when you work with me. When you work with me, book by the amount of time that you want. That's it. It doesn't matter if it says Reiki, hypnotherapy, quantum healing. It doesn't matter. You book by the amount of time, because a Reiki is 1 hour, hypnotherapy is an hour and a half. Because if you get the amount of time that you want and that you feel like you'll need, I'm going to do everything else. I'm going to do everything that your energy tells me you need before we get off the phone.
Okay, so the problem there is I'm looking at it for the first time. What do I need?
I'm going to tell you what you need.
Like time-wise, like what do I need? What kind of time? Do I need only 60 minutes? Do I need the 90 minutes? How would somebody new looking at your website determine what kind of reading to sign up first? What would be like your beginner reading?
I don't know that I have a super duper beginner reading, but there's a couple of different factors that play into that. One is money, because not everybody right away can afford a 2-hour session. And so I'll pack as much as I can into a 1-hour session or a 30-minute session. And two, it might just be how much you feel, because some people who, when they're starting, they're very emotional, or they've been through a lot. So they might not feel like they're ready to like 100% go to somebody they've never worked with before and just air everything out. So then I would suggest maybe like a 1 hour, so that we can get to know each other's energy, so I can do some clearing for you, and we'll see what we can get done in that amount of time. And if you need something bigger, I'm going to tell you, all right, I want to see you back. We need to do this again. I'm pretty open and honest about what I'm seeing in somebody's energy field. But
that's a good answer. With depending on the money, and a beginner would be an hour just to get to know each other, know each other's energies, and you can go from there. So that would be a good start for a beginner.
I think the other thing that's actually very important with booking is knowing how much you like to talk. Seriously, because some clients, especially like my male clients, don't need to talk a whole lot. They like say, oh, well, this is my issue. And then they like don't say anything else. And I'm like, okay, so let's explore this, And so if you don't talk that much, you might only need an hour and still get really deep healing. But if you're the type of person where you like to explain your stories, you like feedback, you like to be able to process after your healing, a longer session is probably where you want to go, so that you have time to get everything that you want and need and feel like completely wrapped up with the bow by the end.
That sounds good. I'm sitting there thinking I'm the one with the least amount of words also.
You would need 15 minutes and you'd be done.
Well, that's how I do a lot of my answers too. It's like, boom, here's the answer. But anyway, do you have anything you want to add? I think I've covered everything, and Mary, you have done an excellent job on answering these things. So is there anything else you want to cover before we get into some questions?
I have word vomit coming up. Spirit flames, I'm not sure why that came out. Twin flames, I'm not sure why that came out.
That's great with twin flames. There's a lot of people who talk about twin flames. There's a lot of people who really connect with twin flames. Some people almost like live and die for twin flames. I have never, me personally, have never connected with that. I have never sought out my twin flame. I've never felt like I've met my twin flame. I don't feel like that if I have a twin flame, it's going to be an alien. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be somebody here on Earth. So that I could accept that more than I can I know that I have a twin flame here on Earth. But go ahead and explain that, because there's a lot of people who do have twin flames and are very involved with it.
I don't know. I don't know if you want to do the full thing now or if we want to save that for another show. It just felt like those words crawled up out of my belly and came out of my mouth, and I am not sure why. So someone in this chat, y'all get your twin flame journey under control so that we can answer people's questions appropriately. But just so to answer the question, I didn't believe in them for a really, really long time, especially because of like being confronted with people who were on the twin flame journey and how intense the journey seems to be.
Right.
And I just didn't believe it. I felt like it was like an excuse to be obsessed with somebody.
Yeah, I can't say that I didn't believe it. It's just I had never experienced it.
And then I did. I actually found and it was through a vision. And in that vision, I saw one soul that was completely like going through mitosis and creating two souls. And I heard twin soul, which I knew to be the twin flame. And so this was spirit kind of introducing the concept to me. And that kind of grew and grew and grew from there until I realized that you can actually probably have hundreds of twin flames, depending on how many times your soul has reproduced itself. And it kind of gets, I don't necessarily believe that you're meant to be like beautiful lovers with your twin flame forever, and this is a romantic journey. I do believe that your twin flame is the person who mirrors you and is going to press all of your buttons and show you all of your triggers and wounds so that you can further heal yourself. Because people who don't trigger us aren't healing us. They're just there with us.
Okay, so you hit a term, aspects, because for me, a few years back when I was in Mount Shasta, they showed me like we wear like two halos around our head, one going in one direction, one going the other direction. And they had balls on these halos. They're all aspects of our life, our personal lives, and they're all going on at the same time. Where we're thinking that's our future or that's our past. It's actually we're looking at the clothing and identifying it with a past life or a future life, but it's actually all happening at the same time. And whenever it crosses over, you get this hit. So when you're talking about twin flames, and you're talking about your aspects out there, I'm going back to that picture that was put in my head about that and trying to figure out the connection between the two. How would a twin flame fit into that? Or is that's just me and this other person, maybe they're having their two orbits going around and it somehow connects or mirrors, or I don't know, but it just hit me that how does that connect? Do you have any insight on that?
I don't think there's an answer to that. And the reason why is because you're trying to logically understand something that only exists within quantum space.
Right.
And just true to the rules of quantum physics, anything that you observe changes its shape. So I think there's a lot of things that when we try to look into, we can get the essence of the answer, but not the true answer because it's going to
be like to be.
Right.
Right. All right, Penelope, she says, I knew I needed all-day reading, and I was excited about working with Mary. Of course, I started with 2 hours and was completely glad with this. She is the best. Thanks, Penelope. That's great. So, but anyway, yeah, it just flashed in my head that has been coming up with me a lot more lately about the different aspects of your life that are happening at the same time. And as we walk through, and they're showing me that it's happening all this. I mean, it's probably at least 20 or 30 lives that are going on at the same time. And some are larger balls that are important lives, and some are smaller, and they're all different colors. And it's pretty fascinating. So I was just, all of a sudden, it was like, okay, how does the twin flame fit in that? But I don't think I will ever quite get a grasp on it. Probably I never will unless I have one. But I am going to search, because for me, I feel like that might be an extraterrestrial and not another physical human on Earth. That might be my twin flame.
Absolutely. Kind of how I view it, like when you're talking, is that we have like all of these past lives, and then this pen represents time. So we have to put time in there to even be able to see it and understand all of these things happening at one time. But when we take the time aspect out, everything kind of goes like this.
Right.
It's chaos, and we can't understand it. Like the only way as humans we can understand any of this is to add the time aspect into it. So none of our answers are actually like true.
Yeah. This does make sense when it has the halos going around your head, because that is organized with all aspects happening at the same time. That is very organized, and you're seeing that organized. But there is no time in that. As they told me, whenever you're looking at the clothing of that time period, you're assuming that's your past life. Or if it's futuristic clothing, you're assuming it's a future life, but it's all happening at the same time. and that when there's an overlap of the two balls hitting together, then you're actually seeing into that different lifetime.
So, final question to you. What alien is standing right here?
I'm getting that that's an Arcturian, and I'm not sure why there's an Arcturian standing there, because I don't know this person.
Because this person literally just took this pin, stabbed me in the toe with it, and I'm literally bleeding.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, if you're scared of aliens, this is freaking why. Because they make me bleed when I'm trying to teach.
When you're not paying attention to them. Yeah, and I'm getting it is an Arcturian that's standing there, and I don't know who he is. It is a him, and I'm not sure why he's trying to get your attention, but he really is trying to get your attention. I don't know him personally. He's only there for you, but I can see him.
I can see him, but my toe hurts too bad for me to talk to him right now. So I'll come back to him later.
I think he has some input on what we're saying is what he's trying to get your attention. I think that's what it is. He has some kind of input into.
He could have like tapped on my shoulder.
He said he did. He said he did tap on your shoulder. You didn't pay any attention, but there's some kind of input he has on all this. And let me see if it's. I'm hearing Kundalini. Something about the Kundalini. He's about something about that. I don't know. It would take me a while to get into that information, but he has some information to share. And I think he's trying to tell you, Mary, what it is.
There's something about the Kundalini awakening that I think is pretty powerful in the fire and the transformation of life. In my first white dragon, no, sir. First off, no, sir.
That's right. This is what they say. What is what I have? White dragon says, Mary the Arcturian is trying to tell you to pay attention to your twin flame. Maybe that he's your twin flame. Maybe the Arcturian's your twin flame.
First off, like which one? And then, and then no. But anyways, so there's something about that Kundalini awakening. The first time that my Kundalini awakened,
all right, Mary. Yes, but he is your twin flame.
I'm smoothing over that. And can you tell I'm smoothing over?
I just want to, that's why he's trying to get your attention and trying to talk to you. That is why. But go ahead about the Kundalini experience. I see where, what do you call it? Avoiding.
It's not avoiding, it's ignoring for now.
That's like you treat the aliens anyway. You kind of love, hate. They're intrusive. And so this guy's been intrusive because he hurt you.
Well, of course he's my twin flame. He stabbed me the first time he ever met me. Of course. Like chaos energy, right?
Yeah.
But my first experience with this was the first time I ever meditated or went through a journey is what it was. And while I was in that journey, I actually went to a plant spirit medicine woman, and she walked me through my first guided journey, and I had no idea what that was. And at the end of that, I was like, wow, I had this great big vision, and I was driving home and I noticed that everything down in the lady bits was really warm. And it was like so odd because it wasn't going away. And I just kind of tucked that in the back of my mind, like something waking up. And fast forward, within 6 months or something, when I started my shamanism training and I received my very first rites in shamanism, and one of those rites, I'm working with the archetype of Sachamama, who's the great serpent. And once she is seated into my root space, I'm laying down flat with my eyes closed, and I can feel these ripples moving from my hips down my thighs over and over and over again. And it was so physical and real that I had to sit up and look because I thought something was crawling on me. And it was just the energy moving like that. Now, after that, it was more of a heat and something that I worked for years to raise up my spine through chanting, through Kundalini breath work, through Kundalini movements and yogas. And till like I could feel it coming up and coming up and coming up. And only momentarily can we keep it so high until it kind of comes back down into the body a bit. But it was an interesting awakening for sure. That, you know, so some of it's sudden like that, and some of it you really have to work on and grow.
Yeah, because I do hear people talking about working on it. I have never tried working on it. Maybe that'll be something I'll try. I have never even considered it to try to work on that or try to open it up.
Maybe we can do it together.
Maybe so.
It'll be
With your Arcturian twin flame.
let's take a question.
Okay. All right, everybody. We have talked and talked and talked and haven't even gotten into a question, but let's see. The first question I have here, Michelle, do I have any galactic guides? Why is it that I cannot connect to any ET guides? Well, I would check to see if you have any galactic guides. Why do you think she can't connect to them, Mary? Because we talked about this on the show about the levels, and I think that's what this is about the levels.
Something's really binging for me around the crown space. So it almost like I'm getting the word attunement.
Yeah, because I'm getting that she doesn't have any right now.
So
like,
okay. Galactic guides.
Because what I'm seeing, what they're showing me is that she has made it to being able to connect with the people who passed. And she's also made it to connect with the angel realm, but she hasn't quite made it up to the ability to connect to the ETs. And they're just showing me how, and I've never seen them show me these levels, that's the levels it goes, connecting to the loved ones who've passed, people you know. The next level is the angels. And then the next level is the ETs. And it looks like to me, Michelle has made it through the people who have passed and she's gotten connected to the angels. She just hasn't gotten her vibration to be able to connect to the ETs yet. That's what I'm getting from Michelle. What else do you have, Mary?
No, that's what I was picking up. I was picking up that the crown isn't attuned to that level yet, that there's not that vibration connection yet. But I do feel like it's coming. It'll get there.
Yeah, it'll get there. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Okay, there's Gigi. Hey, Gigi. Hello, Dr. Gail and Mary and everyone. Does my galactic guide take me up to rest at night without me knowing? How many do I have? Why would you think they're taking you up to rest?
She doesn't sleep at night, really, just for a couple of hours.
I was going to say, that has never been my experience that they take me up to sleep. But let me see, Gigi. Do they take you up to sleep at night? No, they don't. You're working at night.
You never get to sleep, Gigi. Ever.
But are you? I'm guessing that she's wanting to know if she's going. I'm guessing the question really is she going up to work with the galactic people while she's sleeping? I think is probably the real question, or how she really wants it. And I'm getting a yes, she is. And I've just seen a group of them now. Your guides and who you're working with are two different things. You're going up and you're working on a spaceship with a bunch of them on that spaceship. I'm not exactly sure right now what you're doing, but these are two separate questions. And do you have any, does my galactic guide take me up? Your guide is not taking you up. This is, as I said, Gigi, these are two totally different things. Your guides can be your ET guides, but when you're going up to spaceship and working, that is with, like, a lot of times with the ET family or a job that you have agreed to do. And so you do have an ET guide, but they do not take you up. That is just your guide to ask questions, to guide you just like your regular guides, your spirit guides, your angels. And the answer is, while you are sleeping, you are going up and working on a spaceship. And I hope that answers your question, Gigi. What do you get, Mary?
I got the same thing, but I also feel like they're working on her while she's there, because I keep seeing like this power source, like she's being plugged in and her solar plexus is going, you know, like it's powering her up. So I feel like while she's working with them, they're working on her also, on that power center.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot, or probably on almost everybody, because I think our exposure to Earth, they have to bring us up there and do some things to us to be able to tolerate being on Earth more. So I think there's a lot of healing that we go up there, and a lot of times we do go up and we do take this bath before or shower before we even start work. And I'm not so sure if there's not some healing properties in that bath, but I know it's taking all the Earth stuff, our cooties off. It's taking our cooties off before we enter the spaceship. So, but
I don't have cooties.
you don't have Earth cooties.
No.
Okay. All right. Here's Stephanie. Do my ET friends have a message for me today? I'll let you take that one, Mary.
Oh my goodness. What you are going through is not technically spiritual psychosis. It is alignment of your energy field. And through that alignment, you have switched timelines. I can't make this up. Okay, I'm channeling. I'm sorry. So you've switched timelines, and it was your choice. It's like I see the energy like this to begin with, and then I see a lot of chaos and clouded mind energy. And then I see like there's this moment of clarity in the center of this storm where we made a decision. I don't know what that decision was, but you made a decision and your energy went boop. So now, boom, 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 we're all lit up, we're aligned, we're charged, and the chaos is slowly dissipating and going away. And I feel like that has really shifted your trajectory on your timeline.
Wow. Pretty powerful, Stephanie. I can't even add anything to that. Mine would just sound like nothing. Get rid of that.
Sorry.
Hey, Teresa, I'm aware I've served as a teacher aboard ship, aided in rescue missions, and joined in the galactic battles. What are other potential roles are on my resume? Teresa, come on now. Isn't that enough right now? There's probably, okay, the best thing you probably could do is go and get your galactic or your astrology chart. I don't know what the terminology they use now. It used to be starseed astrology. I don't think they call it that now. It will tell you every planet you've been to and what you did on that planet. So you can get a hold of, and I've every time, Ursula, I think it's Ascension Playground, and she does those kind of charts. So Teresa, that's what I'm going to suggest that you do, so you can see your whole list of things that you've done in the past, and to look at it all. But right now, you're not doing anything more than that, because that is a lot right now to be teaching and to be on rescue missions. That's a whole lot.
Okay, I want to say something really quick because I had to really keep myself from laughing. You know the scene in The Little Mermaid where Ursula is rising up out of the sea with the crown on her head and she's going, wah, ha, 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 ha. You know that part? That was literally in my brain when you were like, Ursula. And I had to like keep myself from laughing. Because like I also had this Darcier card, and what I was getting about this, Teresa, is that like in the future you have a really big energy, and in the future I think you will have a pretty high role in everything, but there's this ladder to climb. And so while you have the capacity to see all the things you're capable of doing, we have to wait until we can do them all. Like we're going one rung at a time. Like I was just seeing Ursula rising up out of the sea with that crown on her head. I want more. Feed me. I'll eat you, mermaids. And, okay.
And Teresa, I don't mean to say that much because we're all the same way. Whenever we find out what we're doing, it's like we settle in. Okay, now I know what I'm doing, but okay, I got to be doing more. Or what's next? What's on the horizon? I'm ready. But you got to kind of settle into whatever that job is, because it does take a lot out of you. But anyway, we've come close to an hour. Sorry, everybody, we didn't get to your questions. Mary and I really got into some information here. My next show will not be till next week, because Saturday I am going to my nephew's wedding. But I'm going to try to put up a video, if possible, that Mary and I did, an interview she did for me. I'm going to try to put that up on Saturday. So Mary, what do you have next?
So next, let me check. I can't check my calendar. My husband's calling me. Okay. So I do Sunday videos every Sunday. So you can tune in on those Sundays. Me and Gail get together once a month. But as far as my next live, because I have that retreat in June, 2 tickets left, go get those. What I'm going to be starting the last Friday of every month, starting in June, is called Wild Star Healing Temple. And this is where we're going to have an hour-long healing for you guys. So this is like angel codes, this is DNA activations, light language, all of those sorts of things. And I'm doing this with somebody who you guys haven't met on our channel yet, but their name is Kai. And Kai will be coming along, and we're going to be doing these healings together. So just keep an eye out. That next one, like I said, is the last Friday of June. So that's June 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be doing that once a month.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here today, and y'all have a great day. And thanks, Mary. I know you need to run to get your children. They're waiting for you. So, all right, everybody. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.